Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of That's Wild. Today it's a very rainy day in Bristol. It's very cloudy, very rainy, so if you hear rain, that's why. But I'm also quite happy that it's raining because it was really hot over the weekend and I can't really deal with it. Well, I actually am made to be in hot weather, but just not British hot weather because that is insane. Because we're not made to handle heat here in the UK. Everything's just extra hot. Oh my god. That's like just scared the living hell out of me. Anyway, what I was going to talk about this week, which is actually a really important topic, which is this month is Disability Pride Month, and when I initially heard about Disability Pride Month, my head automatically went towards disabled gay people, which it kind of is that, but it's also just disabled people as a whole, and celebrating what it means to be disabled, and not just talking about the negative side of it, but also the positive side of being disabled, and what can come from different opportunities and different life experiences and disability visibility as a whole, because I think that has changed over time. And yeah, let's just talk about why it's important for a second. Basically, the reason why it's important to me is because when I was growing up, I truly believed that I was the only person like me that was going through the life that I was living. I didn't see anyone that was like me in person or online. I couldn't really relate to anyone because no one had experience what I was and am experiencing, and that was something for a long time. I just didn't know what I wanted to do within my life, or I didn't know what I could do within my life, because most people stereotypically, but also generally, when they see disabled people, we're seen as less than. And even the word disabled, people see it as a negative when it really doesn't have to be. And it's not that we can't do stuff, it's that we do stuff differently to other people, or need more help than other people to be able to do stuff. And the stereotype around disability, that we are less than, that we don't want to work, that we just sit around all day and don't really do much, that we're not people, which sounds crazy, but when I was at school, a lot of kids just thought I was like an alien, because they never seen anyone like me, but also that they've never been educated on people like me, or anyone that had a disability. Even there was someone in my year that had epilepsy, and no one really understood what that was. So there's very little disability education within the UK and the world. Like, we're not really taught on what it means to be disabled, what disabilities that are. There's obviously disabilities that are more visible and disabilities that are invisible. There's so many things to take into consideration regarding disabilities that just aren't taught anymore. Not even anymore, just ever. Like, I don't think normally I'm the one that does the educating on the disabilities, because when I went to secondary school, I was quite isolated. I struggled making friends. people were really scared of me, or like didn't know how to approach me. And that was when I made Tegan's Story, which is an animation that I made about how I was born and my disability and how it came to be. And that piece of work, which is only probably 10 minutes long, it gets used worldwide to educate people on disabilities, but also what it means to be disabled, and also from the perspective of someone with a disability, because a lot of the time people are being educated by people that don't have disabilities and therefore don't really understand how to educate others on disabilities. So I feel like but also at the time that came out, I was like 12. So it was the first time that they've seen some form of work from someone that had a disability at such a young age. And that's probably why it did so well, because I explained it in a way that kids would be able to understand it, and that was the whole point of it. And then since then, really, since the age of 12, I've been working in schools and hospitals. I've done lectures for surgeons. I've worked with lawyers on malpractice, and because a lot of disabilities are a result of malpractice. So I've worked with lawyers on that. I don't know, I've just done a lot to like make people more aware of disabilities and to kind of remove that stereotype that we are like another form of human being. Like, we are the same as everyone else, just a little bit different. But I also don't understand why like people see people with disabilities as so different. But why would you want to all be the same? That I'll never understand, because I think in society we're made to want to conform to a stereotype of people. People want to look like someone, they want to be like someone, they want to have the same job as someone, or like there's always that need to want to be like someone else. But why do we all want to be the same? Like, first of all, we can't be. We can be similar, but like, we can't all be the same type of human. And no, I don't want to be, because that would be boring as hell. So boring. So that always confuses me to why people like want to be the same, because I would never want that. But another thing that I've been thinking about a lot is that obviously being disabled comes with a lot of pros and a lot of cons, and it's often we talk about the cons because that's the thing that people are probably less aware of and not really educated on, such as like, I don't know, chronic pain and muscle movements, medication types, neurology, different therapies, the cost of everything. The cost is also a huge thing, because being disabled, you require so much more within your life to be able to enjoy your life, and in order to do that, it costs a lot of money, and that's a con, definitely. And there are different schemes within the government that allow you to get money, but then a lot of the government schemes don't actually award you the money that you are entitled to or deserve. And as most of you know, the government decided to cut the disability funding this year, so a lot of people's funding will get reduced again, which is so bad, because a lot of people really what's the word? A lot of people what word am I looking for? Basically, a lot of people rely on these extra funds to pay for things such as medical services, video, medication. A lot of medication you don't get for free if your disability isn't diagnosed as permanent, or like, I don't know, even my disability is permanent. I'm gonna have it my whole life from birth, but my medication isn't free on the government. I do have to pay for it, so that's another added cost. Things like transport, if you can't drive, you gotta get an accessible car or train, which is added cost. Everything's added cost. If you need a carer, things like that. So people really rely on these extra funds to be able to live, basically. It's not added luxury, it's not to go spend and buy stuff that you want. It's to be alive and to keep you living in the best way possible. And the other thing that I do think is that a lot of people do get on disability benefits who aren't disabled, which I think is quite annoying in my eyes, especially because I'm quite disabled, I would say, and I've never been awarded the highest form of like disability living allowance. And I've had people that I've met that are way more able than I am that get the highest scheme. And I think they do trick the system a bit. But anyway, I wanted to try and make this episode more positive, so let's talk about the good things about being disabled and about how it's important regarding disability awareness and inclusion. So, one thing that I also do love about being disabled is that I feel like from a young age it made me very determined and resilient. And I do think it does depend on how you were raised and what you were offered as a child. But I do think having a disability, you're constantly having to fight against yourself and fight to continue to do what you want to do. My brain's gone. My brain's totally gone. But anyway, I think I was saying it's a constant fight for resilience, and you have to be resilient to want to continue to pursue the life that you want to. And a lot of people, I think, that have disabilities, because of the way that we are perceived in society and the way that people are treated, they often don't really have very high expectations. And especially, I think, the hardest part of it is if you're born into disability. I think the doctors and the medical staff are more likely to tell the parent about how hard it's going to be, how it's going to be a struggle, how your child is going to not be able to do this, not be able to do that, and they don't really set you a great idea of what their life could be like. I think when you get a disability after not having one, there's more talk about rehabilitation and physio, and maybe you can do this, maybe you can do that, and this is what we have to offer. And I feel like there's very different ways that those situations are treated. But I do think parents that are positive and resourceful when they have a child that has a disability, that child is more likely to flourish and like want to pursue something more. And I do think that's where I have my parents to thank, because my mum never saw my disability as being a struggle in life. She knew that I would have a harder life than most, but anything that I wanted to do, she pushed me towards it, and she'd always make me try new things and experience new experiences and not be afraid to do that. And then she always said, like, try it once. If you don't like it, then don't do it. Or try it once, and if you find it hard, we'll find a different way to make it easier for you. And my mum's very resourceful in that way. And I think that's something that you learn being disabled, is to being very resourceful and very aware of what you have to offer around you. Whether you can get it or not, you're just very aware of your surroundings. What else can I talk about? What pros do I have? I think the one pro that I like the most, that I forget to use, is that I can literally skip any queue or any purchase order. I forget to use it because I'm very happy to queue. I'm British. I'm happy to wait, but my mum always reminds me that I don't have to, and I could just go to the front of any queue and say, I'm disabled and I struggle to stand for long times, which I do, and then they'll usually let you in, and that's a really good hack that I enjoy now. I also really enjoy my disability parking space. I didn't realise how much I love it until I have to park in a normal space, and I just don't know how you guys do it, how you get out of the car with the tiniest gap, squeezing out and then squeezing back in. I'm very happy with my big space at the front of any shop. I'm very happy with that. That's definitely a pro. One other thing that I've been loving is the fact that I can get tickets to most things, and get a good seat. I like a good seat. I do think they still need to improve the disability seating, selection, where you, I think you should be given the option of, where you would like to sit, depending on your accessibility needs. But I still enjoy the fact that I can get tickets to most things. And I've gone to a lot of things this year, which I've gotten through disability access. And also because I can't get anywhere without someone, really. I mean, I can, but I would feel unsafe if I didn't have someone there to help me just in case. And especially, I think the hardest thing for me is that most places that I go to, you're not allowed to bring stuff in with you. So then I can't physically carry a drink that I buy at the venue to my seat. So I always have someone with me to help me carry my stuff, but also someone just to enjoy the experience with. I think it's just much nicer, isn't it? But I get a +1 to most things as a carer, because I actually can't do it. I think I moved out of my house when I was at uni for university for 2 months, and it was hard. It was so hard because I literally had to do everything myself, and I had to cook, I had to clean my room, I had to change my bed sheets, which is still the bane of my life. I hate changing bed sheets. It takes me probably 40 minutes to an hour to change my bed sheets, because I I have a queen size duvet. It's huge. I'm 4'11". I'm short. And my arms barely work as it is. And it's very difficult. So it takes me ages. I hate that job. And same with cooking, like, I just find it really difficult, and I don't enjoy being in the kitchen, so I try to avoid that. But like when I moved out, I had to do everything myself, and it really showed me how hard it would be to live on my own, completely independent. I'd be just exhausted from the amount of stuff that I would have to do myself. I mean, even like things. It's not even the fact that I can't do it, it's the fact that it could make me exhausted from doing it. So it's a hard one. It's definitely a hard one. But I do want to live more independently in the future. But I also don't really want to change. I like the way that I live right now. My mum is still my carer, and she does a lot for me, and I appreciate that. So I hope it stays that way for a little bit longer. But the other thing that I was going to talk about that I keep forgetting is social media and TV, and how I think people are seeing way more disabled people in media and on social media, and how positive that affects like disability inclusion, disability awareness, disability representation. I feel like now I'm seeing way more people that look like me online that I wish that I saw when I was a kid, which makes me so happy, because everyone deserves to have a role model and someone to aspire to be like, and someone like they see that looks like them, and you think, oh, I can do that, or I could, like, you can just relate to them differently, and I love that. And especially in TV, which is the industry that I really want to be in, I feel like there's way more disabled presenters on TV and on radio even, and I don't know, it's just such a positive change for once, and I just feel like people are becoming more aware of people with disabilities, and it's not as scary, or it's not as people are still negative. That still happens, but people aren't as wary or unaware that we exist, which I think is so good. Am I okay? No. Anyway, as I probably said before, I would love a TV show in the future, or to be a host of a TV show. And one, because I feel like I represent the underrepresented in a huge way. I don't really see many black disabled presenters in the industry, but also like when I was young, I never really saw anyone like me. So I felt like if I was to pursue my dream and do what I wanted to do with the media, then maybe I could be that person for someone. When I was like, what am I trying to say? I can try and be that person for someone who's growing up that might not see anyone like them. I also just want to show that like disabled people can be more than just like their disability, and we're often really funny because we know how to take the myth out of ourselves, and we know how to laugh at ourselves. We know how to make light of any situation, and I just feel like we bring something different to the table. And I don't know, I would just really love to be a presenter on TV and either be interviewing other people or just be myself, because I feel like that's something that I don't often get to do, but also I don't often show my true self online, because I feel like I have to be this type of person. But I don't know, I would just love it. That's my ultimate dream. As well as being a horse rider, my personal dream is to be a presenter on TV. What else was I going to say? I was talking about social media, and I wanted to shout out a few of my favourite disabled influencers that I follow. So if you're watching, I'm going to put them on screen now, and I'm going to read out where you can follow them online. No Limbs, Nicholas Hamilton, Frankie Pony, Fat Timber, Steve J. Butler, and Josie Bones. And that's all I got to say today. Ironically, I'm feeling more disabled today than normal, and I can feel my body is getting worse, and my voice is getting worse. So I'm gonna go home and lie down and rest. Which I think is quite funny. Speaking of this episode, which I think is quite ironic, the topic of this episode. But yeah, I'm gonna go now, but I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will be back next week with more, and well, if you're still here, comment. No, what did I say? And if you watch this all the way to the end, then leave a star comment. No, what? And if you watch this all the way to the end, then leave a star emoji in the comment. And don't forget to also share your favourite disabled. And don't forget to also share your favourite disabled influencers and public figures that everyone should know about and go watch. Leave them in the comments and let's grow the community. If you want to see more of me in a different light, then head over to my TikTok, which is Tegan Vincent-Cooke. And my Instagram is definitely more horsey, but that's a huge side to my life. So, again, Tegan Vincent-Cooke. Everything that I have, I think, is Tegan Vincent-Cooke. But feel free to check it all out, and I'll see you guys next week. My body feels like it's gonna give up any second, so what good timing. Goodbye.